Channel 7 Action News starts right now.
GM is set to go full throttle on the road to recovery after bankruptcy. Tomorrow, it's back in the stock market game for what could be the biggest initial public offering in history. Good evening. I'm Carolyn Clifford.
And I'm Stephen Clark. It is an amazing turnaround for a company that came dangerously close to going the way of the Packard. With a revolutionary Volt named Car of the Year yesterday, GM is riding a wave of good news into its IPO. Tonight, it confirmed shares of common stock that go on sale tomorrow will be placed at $33. Overall, the IPO could rake in more than $23 billion and get back a big chunk of the taxpayers' bailout money.
Joining us now is turnaround specialist Conway to talk about GM's IPO. Certainly a lot of excitement for tomorrow, but this is not for the little guy who bought up GM stock and lost their shirts, right?
Well, the little guy's probably not going to play in this one. It's the institutional money that is going to take most of the shares. But the little guy can play in the stock market tomorrow if the share price doesn't run too high. Of course, they can buy the stock from their stockbroker.
Now, the mechanics of this, when the stock actually opens on the market, it's going to be really hard for the little guy to actually buy it right off the bat. It's the big institutional buyers are going to get most of it right off the bat. How soon until mom and pop can get in on this game?
Well, I think that after it opens up and the shares are sold that the company is selling, that it's going to be an open market. I mean, I think tomorrow's an open market. So you could put an order in with your stockbroker and buy the shares. Now, you might have to buy them at $38 a share. It depends where the stock's going to move tomorrow, up or down. Nobody knows. But you can go in the open market tomorrow and buy the shares.
At the end of the day, let's talk about the government. Was this a good bet with the government buying out GM? There's been so much controversy surrounding it, or will they lose a lot with the sale tomorrow?
I think this is one of the greatest things the government's ever done. And, of course, nobody really thinks the government does things like this productively with our money. But the reality of it is, a year and a half ago, nobody thought the government would get any money back. And now they're looking at getting probably most of their money back, and under some scenario, all of their money back. And they avoided the demise of General Motors and Chrysler and the overall effect in the economy, which would have been hundreds of billions of dollars. So put that aside, on the $50 billion that they have in, there's a scenario where they're going to get all their money back because they still own a third of the company. And if the stock price gets around $50 a share, they would have a full recovery.
What's the ride likely to look like tomorrow when this does open? I know you say a lot of IPOs end up climbing to the sky for a second, then they just fall off, and for a while they spend a lot of time really low.
Well, I think that you don't really want a huge run-up tomorrow, but that could happen. I mean, supposedly there's a demand for the shares 6 times the number of shares. That would suggest the stock. Now, of course, the stock's already been moved $5 or $6 from the initial price, which is, 20% to the $33. Now, the question tomorrow is what's going to happen. Of course, if we all knew that, that would probably be good, but we don't know that. IPOs can go up or down. This would probably suggest, even though they moved it up $5 or $6, it still may have more room there. I don't think that General Motors or anybody would want to see this thing run up real fast, because then it's likely to run down. And when it gets volatile, that's when people will come in and out of the market and they'll lose money.
At this point, is GM sitting pretty? I mean, is everybody confident that they're on the ride up, no downward turns again?
Well, I would say this. Every car company still has to bring vehicles out that the consumers like. That's a risk. Toyota has, Ford has, but General Motors is making $2 billion a quarter in arguably a not very good market here with 11.5 million units being sold.
So they're doing something right.
It's supposed to go to around 14 million units in 2014 or 13, and the reality of it is they'll make a lot of money just if they stay with their own market share. So I would challenge anybody to say, well, why would they be any better or worse than Toyota bringing new cars to market? And they're making a lot of money right now because of the cost structure that was fixed through the bankruptcy.
All right, Conway, MACKENZIE, thank you very much for your time tonight.
Very much. Appreciate it.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
And stay with Action News and WXYZ.com for all the very latest on General Motors IPO when it hits the New York Stock Exchange tomorrow.